ghost in a 13?
No. Your real story.
You two are so adorable. We are a hot mess. I fell in love with him the way you fall asleep, slowly, and then all at once.
The Fault in Our Stars, rated PG-13.
Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. Today we are taking a look at the two films that make up June 6, 2014. And our first movie that we have here is The Fault in Our Stars, which is the film that became the big success, and everyone thought that John Green was going to be the next Nicholas Sparks, taking whatever book he was working on and make it into a movie, and it's going to be an instant hit. I mean, it's going to be the next big thing. Well, we found out a year later with Paper Towns that, yeah, that really wasn't the case overall. Although I really like Paper Towns, and I did like this movie a lot. You have Charlotte Woodley and Anson Elgort, who star in this movie. She's a 16-year-old cancer patient who is forced by her parents to attend a support group, where she meets and subsequently falls in love with another cancer patient played by Elgort. You also have a cast that includes Laura Dern, Nat Wolff, and Willem Dafoe in the cast. It's directed by Josh Boone, who would later go on to direct The New Mutants, which kind of killed his career overall, but he did come back recently with Regretting You, which did become a hit overall. I haven't seen it, but I have no real intentions to. But, yeah, overall, this is a pretty good movie overall. It's a good movie that works because these two actors really do work off each other very well. You know, Anson Elgort's career kind of got destroyed because of some stuff that was going on behind the scenes, but it's a shame because the guy really was somebody who was really on his way to becoming something really great with this, and he was also in the Divergent films as well with Woodley, and he was also in Baby Driver, which he wasn't the worst thing about that movie, even though I really did not like Baby Driver all that much, but West Side Story I think is his magnum opus overall. I think that's his best film overall, but yeah, he's been relatively quiet since then. Nobody will really hire him after what happened with, you know, the sexual assault allegations that happened around COVID time, but it's a shame, man, because the guy really was on his way to having a bright future overall as an actor, and just that kind of killed it overall. And he really does work well with Woodley in this movie. You do buy the relationship overall. It's a little sappy for its own good, but then again, a movie like The Notebook works, even though that's incredibly sappy, and it works because your two leading actors were really good in that film. And yeah, the two leading actors in this are very good as well. They work off each other very well, and it plays out very well in general here. It's a good movie. It's a very entertaining film overall. Is it a classic? No, not really. And I think it mostly appeals to the target audience of the book itself. And I think those are the ones who are really going to get a kick out of it more. I like it for what it was. Nothing really spectacular, nothing really amazing, but it is what it is. The Fault in Our Stars is a pretty solid film. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here, a film that was, you know, we talked about A Million Ways to Die in the West getting kind of killed by its marketing, by revealing some of the best stuff. Take a look at this next movie here, and we'll talk about a movie that was severely destroyed by its marketing. Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt in Doug Liman's Edge of Tomorrow.
That's why you ship out to the beach tomorrow, Major. General, I'm afraid I'm going to have to decline.
It's not an offer, it's an order.
What day is it?
For you, Judgment Day.
30 seconds to drop!
How do I turn the safety off of my weapon?
Come find me when you wake up.
What?
You do know what's happening to me.
We are fighting an enemy. They have the power to reset the day, and now so do you.
I'm not a soldier.
I'll train you.
You already have.
Every time you die, you get smarter. You have to finish this.
Edge of Tomorrow, rated PG-13. Experience it in IMAX 3D.
So let's start off talking about this movie by talking about the marketing controversy for this, because this was originally based on a novel called All You Need Is Kill. And then they made the movie with that, and then after the filming ended, Warner Brothers changed the title to Edge of Tomorrow because the president of Warner Brothers at the time said the title was changed partly due to negative chatter about the word kill in the title. And Doug Liman basically changed it because it didn't feel like it was the tone of the movie he had just made, and wanted to rename it Live, Die, and Repeat, but they just used that as a tagline. And even the producer, Erwin Stoff, said, I think the word kill in a title is very tricky in today's world. I don't know that people want to be bombarded with that word. I don't know that people want to be opening the newspaper and seeing that word. We've seen enough in kind of real newspaper headlines, and I don't think we need to see it when we're looking at a movie. The word kill in a title is very tricky in today's world. Okay. Kill Bill, Killing Eve, A Time to Kill, They Will Kill You, How to Make a Killing, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, The Killing, Why Women Kill, To Kill a Mockingbird, Boy Kills World, Generation Kill, Fuck, Marry, Kill, Killing Faith, 30 Days to Kill, SimCity, A Dame to Kill For, Dress to Kill, The Killing Fields, License to Kill, A View to a Kill, Kill Your Darlings, Righteous Kill. Have you gotten the point yet? I think we are more than okay with the word kill in a title for a movie. Like, that is one of the stupidest arguments I have ever heard in my life. And I just listened to, the whole thing with the Buffalo Bills and Terry Pagula trying to defend Brandon Beane's decision-making by making up straight-up lies of the fact that Keon Coleman was not a choice by him, even though there's literal footage out there of that. That's for another video, though. If you want to go check that out, check it over on the Reviewing Network Live for that one. But the bottom line here is that they really fucked up the marketing for this movie to the point where when this movie came out on Blu-ray, they decided to rename it Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow. And then when it got released in 4K a few years later, went back to Edge of Tomorrow. Like, they butchered this movie's title so badly that the box office for this movie was one of the biggest, unfortunately a big failure overall, and it brought in about 300, it brought back, once worldwide numbers were brought back into it, $370 million, over $178 million budget. So it did make its budget back overall afterwards, and surely with the success that it had on home media afterward, it made its money back in general. But the whole controversy about the title was just really fucking stupid, man. Especially for a movie that is not only one of my favorite movies of the year, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. So in it, an alien race has hit the Earth in an unrelenting assault unbeatable by any military unit in the world. Major William Cage, played by Tom Cruise, is an officer who has never seen a day of combat when he is unceremoniously dropped into what amounts to a suicide mission. Killed within minutes, Cage now finds himself inexplicably thrown into a time loop, forcing him to live out the same brutal combat over and over, fighting and dying again and again. But with each battle, Cage becomes able to engage the adversaries with increasing skills, alongside Special Forces warrior Rita Vitowski, played by Emily Blunt. And as Cage and Vitowski take the fight to the aliens, each repeated encounter gets them one step closer to defeating the enemy. So, like I said, this is based off of a Japanese graphic novel called All You Need Is Kill, and it's directed by Doug Liman, who at this point had not made a real bad movie in his career. I mean, Jumper was probably his worst film, but even then, it wasn't a bad movie overall. It was just it was just a film that was just kind of like, had a good idea, but the execution just didn't work overall. But, I mean, this was an incredible fun movie. I remember seeing this for the first time and thinking to myself, this is one of the most fun experiences I've had in a movie in a long, long time. I really dug the hell out of this movie. It got everything going for it, and it takes every opportunity to give us really good entertainment value, and Tom Cruise gives a really solid performance in this movie. This is not only just Cruise's great action style of acting, but he allows himself for great comedic moments as well, which we'll touch on that in a second. And I loved Emily Blunt as Rita Vitowski. I mean, she's a badass character that also looks sexy as hell. I mean, that scene where where she's doing, like, I think she was doing push-ups, and then she slowly but surely gets up with the arch and all that. I mean, that's a scene that's just etched in my memory banks since I've seen it. And I think it's etched in a lot of memory banks to a lot of people when they saw that film. But the script does a very good job of giving her a lot of good character development and also making the character her own character. She isn't the stereotypical action heroine. They actually give her a lot of development to make her probably my favorite female character since Katniss in the Hunger Games movies. I mean, that's how good she really is. She's up there with some of the best female characters ever put on the screen, right up there with Ripley from Aliens and so many other ones I can mention. The supporting cast is good too, but they're not really given a whole lot to do. Like, Brendan Gleeson is the corrupt general who clearly doesn't like Tom Cruise because he's a journalist who completely badmouths him. It's just like, okay, bitch, you're going out there to die. And it's just like, Bill Paxton is the asshole drill sergeant. But at least he is funny and is funny enough to get a lot of good moments in here. The action scenes in this are shot spectacularly. You can see everything that's going on, even if the scenes are shot in the dark, especially that last action scene with the helicopter. I always go back to the climax of Patriot Games that takes place in the storm, and it's nighttime, and you see rain and thunder and lightning going on, and you can still see what's going on. It's one of the best action sequences I've ever seen, and you can definitely see a lot of that in this movie. I love how they shot it. They did a great job shooting that scene. The alien creatures look good too. I mean, they gave us a cool looking creature designs for these mimics that we hadn't seen done before, especially with the way they move around in the film. I thought that was intensely entertaining to see. And like I said, it manages to find a way to mix in not just action and drama, but some pretty dark comedic elements to it. I mean, literally the first half of the movie is an action comedy for the most part, with the consistent ways that Cruz keeps dying in the beginning. I mean, it's like if they took that scene from Groundhog Day where Phil Connors is killing himself because he just wants out of this and basically taking it to the next level and beyond. And like the Groundhog Day was played straight for seriousness. This is played up for laughs, and it's legitimately funny as hell to watch. And then, as the second half of the film comes along and becomes more and more serious, it's very smart in turning the tide and making this serious as it needs to be, as there is a big tonal shift that's necessary when this power that Tom Cruise has given is taken away from him. So the next time he dies, that's it. He's gonna die, period, after this. And it works to give what the film is trying to give us here. A nice little twist of faith overall. And like I said, it's very much like Groundhog Day, where Tom Cruise starts falling into what Bill Murray did in Groundhog Day. He starts off wondering what the hell's going on, repeating the same day again. The next day, he's repeating the day that he repeats the day that he's frantic and wants to get this over with. Everyone around him looks at him like he's crazy, and the next couple of days are comedic. A few more days out, the tone switches to a more dramatic tone. And then the last days, he realizes everything he needs to do right to get things back to some normalcy. Now, there was a little bit of a controversy about the ending of the movie and how some of it saw it as a cop-out, and I'll just say this. If you don't know what happened, the film ends with Rita and Cage crashing into the Louvre, with Rita being killed by an Alpha and Cage swimming downwards to win the day by dropping grenades into the Omega. When the Omega is killed, all the other mimics perish around with it. However, underneath the water, some tentacle alien blood reaches up and latches onto Cage, and we see him reanimate for an instant before all of a sudden he wakes up in the past again, only this time it's even further back than he's used to. However, he's not just reset the day to an earlier point in time, but an earlier point in time in which the mimics are still dead. Cage finds Rita and the two meet perhaps for the first time, and the film cuts to the credits. Now, around the time, David Shen at SlashFilm.com thought what they did made the wet ending worse, saying that it didn't make any sense, took away all the stakes that the film had, and struck the wrong tone. I mean, I could see people buying into that, but I like the way they handled it, and I say that for a couple of reasons. One, it does make sense, sort of. Cruz has to go into the water to destroy the Omega, and as the film had established in the beginning, if you get alien blood on you, you instantly have this power to repeat the day. It does make sense because that's what the film establishes early on, and that's how we've gotten to this point in the film. And as far as how when he gets the stuff on him, he's back on the helicopter from the very beginning of the film, I can see why it's not making a whole lot of sense. Two, it's not a cop-out. The film kept its own rules intact when they did with that ending. There was nothing in there that suggested that the film was copping out. I mean, you want to talk about a bad cop-out. One of my least favorite movies of all time, North, is one of the biggest cop-outs ever, if not the worst. You have this movie focusing on North wanting to divorce his parents and get new parents with all these fucked up stereotypes, and the result is nothing but a lousy dream from North, who falls asleep in the mall after talking to the Bruce Willis character. 90 minutes of my life wasted on this movie. Hell, Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2 is second with that badass fight scene that only ends up being a vision, meaning that everything those films building up was to nothing at all. So, yeah, don't tell me this is a cop-out ending, because there was nothing that was done differently from what the film established in the beginning and that was done for the ending. And three, and most importantly, it completely killed the idea for a sequel. It's a story that doesn't need to continue in another film. It has a definitive ending. It doesn't end on a note of sequel baiting. It ends on its own merits to the point where nothing else could happen at this point that would require a sequel to be made. And I'm glad they didn't make a sequel to this, because I feel like if they did, they would have kind of butchered it overall. But they are making a Japanese anime All You Need Is Kill movie, which should be coming out pretty soon if I'm not mistaken. I think it's coming out this month, actually. I have to check and see, but the whole bottom line is that Edge of Tomorrow is a fucking amazing movie, man. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It's a great, great film with a ton of great action, great drama, great visuals, surprisingly good comedy, a good cast that works very well with the material given, and it really was an amazing feeling watching that movie for the first time. And it's just like, what a great movie, man. What a great, great film. Edge of Tomorrow, I can't recommend this puppy enough. If you haven't seen it already, see Edge of Tomorrow. But at this point, you probably should have seen it by now. But if you haven't, get your ass off there and go see Edge of Tomorrow.
What's up, dog?
We're back.
You gotta take your game to the next level, guys. You two are going to college.
Did you not see that I was going first?
Excuse you.
Go ahead.
Diamonds look like they glowing. 50 stacks all
Yo,
single.
Sleepy, what's up, homie? Everyone's saying that Barrio, he like the Mexican Wolverine. Or you not talking? My name is Jeff.
Watch the new trailer at 22jumpstreetmovie.com.
That's Hefe, man. And thus began the many, many vines and memes that would use that sound clip from then until the current time period that we're in. You know, the whole, my name's Jeff. I mean, you cannot go anywhere online without seeing at least one video or Vine that has that clip in there. But welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. Today we're taking a look at Friday the 13th of June 2014, and needless to say, this was not an unlucky day by any means necessary. Far from it. It was actually a really damn good day for movies, because we have two sequels that came out this weekend, and they were both really good films, starting with the biggest of the two. That is, of course, 22 Jump Street. After making their way through high school twice, big changes are in store for Officers Schmidt and Jenko, once again played by Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum, when they go deep undercover at a local college. But when Jenko meets a kindred spirit on the football team, and Schmidt infiltrates the bohemian art major scene, they begin to question their partnership. Now, they don't have to just crack the case, they have to figure out if they can have a mature relationship. If these two overgrown adolescents can grow from freshmen into real men, college may be the best thing that ever happened to them. And, like I said, 21 Jump Street was one of those big surprises from 2012. A slick, funny, very smart comedy that took liberties with adapting the original show to make for one of the funniest comedies in a long, long time. And it's hard to top a great predecessor. I mean, many films have failed to do that. We've touched on several of them many times on this show, such as more recent examples of this: Hangover 2, Hangover 3, Taken 2, 1,000,000,006 other sequels that were nothing but cash grabs, and this was back in 2014. Imagine my feeling when I talked about this movie back then. I would have never thought that 12 years later we'd be having the same damn conversation, because it's just gotten worse in the last couple of years especially. But here they did what they did in the first film, and not only does it work, but it makes 22 Jump Street one of the best comedy sequels ever. What makes it work is that it's a slightly better movie than its already awesome predecessor, and the fact that it's very smart in letting us know that everything we're about to see has been done before. It takes the Muppets Most Wanted route, basically saying that, yeah, we're going to do the same thing we did before, but we're going to add a new flair to it. There's little scenes where characters are saying, see, we're doing the same thing all over again. And it's not like the movie isn't trying to force us to believe that. They're literally telling you throughout this film. The only difference is that it's in college instead of high school. And once again, Tatum and Hill just work off each other so well. And honestly, who would have thought you would have gotten a loosely based feature film adaptation of 21 Jump Street that made Channing Tatum a good actor? Maybe Joel Kinnaman should have taken some notes and do comedies like this instead of a stupid RoboCop remake that's rated PG-13. Yeah, that movie sucks, but Ice Cube, once again, is hilarious as Captain Dixon, and the new additions to the cast are very well done. Amber Stevens playing Cube's daughter, Workaholics is Jillian Bell, delivering some of the funniest dialogue bits of the film, not to mention the bajillion 6 cameos shown throughout the film. That would take far too long to talk about here. The comedy works simply because of the film's self-awareness and meta-humor, which is what you come expect from Phil Lord and Chris Miller at this point. I mean, the Lego Movie is one of those examples of that. It's just like a film that knows what it's doing and just goes along with it. And I mean, they could take anything and surprisingly make that work. I would have been more than happy if they ever said, hey, we want to do a Ghostbusters 3, like an actual Ghostbusters 3 before they made the Ghostbusters movies that we've had of recently. Like, I feel like they could have made it work overall, but yeah, it wasn't meant to be. And we did get some good Ghostbusters stuff post-2014. It was a little bit of a rocky start, but we'll touch on that in a couple of years' time. But there really is nothing more I can say about 22 Jump Street that hasn't already been said already. I think it's a very funny film. It's a sequel that's better than the original. If you love 21 Jump Street, you're going to love this one, maybe even more. It's a very smart, very funny, very creative, very fun sequel. That's one of the more enjoyable comedy sequels I've seen in a long, long time. 22 Jump Street is another reason why Phil Lord and Chris Miller are a comedy force not to be messed with. And I think in the years since then, they have shown that they have gotten better and better over time. Not just with comedy, but just entertainment in general. What these guys have been able to do. They're the top guys working in Hollywood right now. I mean, no question about it. They are the best two directors working right now. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the movie that I feel like probably should have done a whole lot better, but on a weekend that includes 22 Jump Street, being number 2 is not the worst thing in the world. How to Train Your Dragon 2.
There's a whole other world of dragons out there.
I bet you think you know a lot about dragons.
Can I know you?
No, but a mother never forgets.
On June 13th,
That's your mother?
I'll find you closer than you ever thought possible.
This is amazing!
when the training ends,
Drago's coming for our dragons.
We have to save them.
the real adventure begins.
We can't fly these things. They're babies. They don't listen to anyone. Oh!
DreamWorks How to Train Your Dragon 2 in 3D. Rated PG.
And the marketing on this one, sadly, was not the greatest overall. But you know, with these movies, it's just like you have to judge. You can't just judge the book by its cover. Kung Fu Panda is one of the best examples of that. And even the first How to Train Your Dragon was one of those movies that really not a lot of people were expecting it to be that great, but turned out to be one of DreamWorks' best movies overall. And I was really looking forward to seeing this one, despite the lackluster TV spots. The trailers were great, man. I mean, anytime you throw that song "Kings and Queens" from 30 Seconds to Mars, it's just a great song overall. And it's just like, for a movie like How to Train Your Dragon, it just fits that song very, very well. It fits the tone of the movie very well too. But not only did this movie meet my expectations, they pretty much exceeded them. This delivered on everything I was hoping for that the movie was going to deliver when I first saw the teaser last summer, and it delivers on everything a good sequel should do. It gives us a better story development, the animation is crisper and better, and more importantly, it does up the ante in terms of the action and drama to the point where one of the main characters dies in this movie, and not going to say who it is if you haven't seen it already, but it's really sad. It's not just put in there for the cheap dynamics, but it's there to evolve the story in general and allow us to grow more with these characters, which is what makes the sequel more interesting, because it does something that not a lot of sequels really did back then, and that's grow the characters in time. I mean, these characters got older since the last time we saw them. I mean, these characters do look very different. Not only show that they look older than the last time, but even in the show that they did between these, they show that they're fully capable of handling any situation this time around. Unlike the last movie, nobody's talking down to Hiccup, not even his father. He knows what he's doing up until he confronts the villain and knows what he's going up against. And, you know, one of the big things in the trailer is that we meet Hiccup's mother, voiced by Cate Blanchett, and we find out she was taken by a dragon when Hiccup was a baby, and her father believed that a dragon killed her. And I like the relationship between Valka and Stoic definitely showing prominently here when they're reunited. Once again, it's not forced by any means necessary. It feels genuine and realistic, and the brief time they have together on screen shows they really do have a good relationship, and they do still love each other, even after everything that has happened between the two of them is in this world. I like the newcomers in here. Kit Harington pulling in his best Christian Bale impersonation as Eret. I mean, seriously, I thought it was Christian Bale the first time I heard it, but John Mahansu as Drago, the main villain, and cue your Rocky IV Drago scream, because, yeah, it had to be done. But, yeah, Drago is your typical bad guy who just wants to take over the world, of course. Insert your Street Fighter M. Bison, of course, meme. But where in the first movie they went up against a freaking giant-ass dragon just because it's a giant-ass dragon that feeds on the small dragon slaves if it can't get enough food. Drago is just a power-hungry villain. The action is much more epic this time around, with a ton of brilliantly shot action sequences, and the animation, once again, top-notch. It was definitely worth it seeing it in 3D on a big screen for those amazing flying scenes, and they looked incredible. Like, the big difference between this and the How to Train Your Dragon live-action movie simply was the fact that the live-action movie was nothing but a rip-off of the first movie, but How to Train Your Dragon 2 not only has the great visuals, but the great storytelling to go along with it. There's nothing really bad I could say about this movie, except the fact that the villain may not be as strong as the first film was, but even then, John Mahansu was still pretty good as the villain in general, but, I mean, it exceeded my expectations when I saw it back then. I was really going into it hoping it was going to be good, but it upped the game on everything you could have asked for. It upped the ante on the animation, the story, the action, the drama, the tension, the comedy. It just came together, and DreamWorks has another solid animated sequel from a company that has already given us Shrek 2, Kung Fu Panda 2, Madagascar 2, and now How to Train Your Dragon 2. I mean, if it wasn't for the Lego movie, this would have been the best animated movie of the year. And it's a year where we got a lot of good animation in general here. And this one definitely is a high must-see for any fan of the original film. It continues the story on from the previous film and works very well, outlasting the first film, which is very hard to do, but it just works, man. It's a terrific film. I can't recommend this one enough. How to Train Your Dragon 2. Seek it out if you haven't already seen it already.
The boys will be with the boys.
And the girls with the girls.
always played mind games.
No. Why? Because I can only deal with one child at a time.
She hurt us. She is everything.
But on June 20th,
We all have a past.
Yeah, but you definitely downplayed it.
You downplay your play with Kanye.
they may go too far.
We're gonna get our freak on tonight.
Think like a man.
My first photo of my wedding is a mugshot.
Think like a man, too.
Yeah, I think this pretty much sums it up right here about this movie we're about to talk about here. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. Today we are taking a look at the two films of June 20th, 2014, and we're starting off with the biggest of the two new releases, Think Like a Man 2, the literal definition of a here we go again sequel, where we're just going to literally do everything we did before, except add a new spice into it, like taking from what was popular around that time, if you even want to call it that, with a hangover. But in the sequel, all the couples are back for a wedding in Las Vegas. They're in Vegas for the wedding of Candace, Regina Hall, and Michael, Terrence J. And the girls are getting off into trouble for their bachelorette party, where the guys are doing the same for their bachelor party. But plans for a romantic weekend goes awry when their various misadventures get them into some compromising situations they threaten to derail the big event. Along with their issues with their relationships, Maya and Zeke, making good Romney Malco, are doing really well, except that Zeke's past keeps rearing its ugly head. Dominic and Lauren, Michael Easley and Taraji P. Henson, are solid in their relationship, but they're independently confronted with challenges. Cedric, played by Kevin Hart, is in the process of getting another divorce. Jerry Ferrera, and Kristen Gabrielle Union are married, which leads to a new series of issues for them. And Tish, Wendy McClendon Covey, and Bennett, Gary Owen, have been married for a long time, and the trip shakes up their marriage. Now, I really love the first Think Like a Man. It's one of my favorite romantic comedies to have come out in the last few years, and it was one of my favorite movies of 2012. It was a smart, funny, witty romantic comedy based off of Steve Harvey's book with an excellent all-star cast. I mean, it did everything the complete opposite of a Tyler Perry movie and became one of the funniest and smartest romantic comedies I've ever seen. The sequel, oh dear God, what a mess this was. It's like they took all the charm and wit out of the first movie and just decided to simply make a quick cash grab instead of trying to make a good story for the sequel. I mean, this is about as bad as you can get. Now, occasionally you still get some funny moments here and there. The actors still work with the material given to them fine. They still have that good chemistry to them, which, I mean, I like the fact that Kevin Hart actually got more to do in this movie, which was actually one of my complaints about the first film, since he was all over the marketing, and he was barely in the film for the first half of it. And he's actually hearing this more. Like, the number one problem this movie has right from the get-go is the script. They really made it seem like they weren't even trying to come up with a good idea for the sequel. You could have had a good story for the sequel. You could have gone into more detail about how everybody's life is now that they're married couples and how they're dealing with being married, but no, we can't do that. Let's just recycle old bits from the first movie, like Kevin Hart's character getting divorced again after he got back together with his wife in the first movie. Let's take out the Steve Harvey bits, even though this damn film exists because of him, and instead we're going to keeping it in LA, we're going to take it to Vegas, baby, because we want to make our own version of The Hangover, which, let's be honest, this was probably a better overall sequel than any of the actual Hangover sequels, and this wasn't even an official sequel to The Hangover. But tell me something, would you rather watch this again, or would you rather sit through the same two damn movies in 2 and 3 over again? I would personally pick this one, but that's just my personal opinion about this. But the question you are probably wondering is this one of the year's worst movies? And I say no. Despite all the problems the script has, this film still does have some good moments, which I talked about. And like I said, the performances overall are fine enough to carry it over, but it just really felt like a major letdown. It was one of the big disappointing sequels I saw that year, especially considering that Rio 2 also came out the very same year. It was also a bad movie, even though I love the first one a lot. I've always respected Kevin Hart's comedy, and the fact that it's being wasted on this inspired sequel really disappointed me. I mean, Kevin Hart and Regina Hall were in a much better comedy, and Michael Ealy, too, was in a better comedy earlier this year, About Last Night. I'd say watch that before watching this. I mean, this is the typical definition of a, let's do another movie because the first one was a success, and we're not even going to bother to try making anything of worthiness in terms of good story. We just want to do the same thing we did all over again, except let's up the ante by moving it to Las Vegas, because that's the way to go. That's the ticket, and no, it really wasn't, because not a lot of people went to see this movie, and when you see it, it's not really that hard to see why, So, yeah. That is Think Like a Man 2 for you. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to the best movie of the entire weekend, which really isn't saying a whole lot. Clint Eastwood's adaptation of the Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons story, the Broadway musical Jersey Boys.
Biggest Sinatra.
The world is gonna hear that voice.
From the streets of New Jersey
Wasn't for me, we all would have wound up with a bullet in our head. Frankie, what are you doing?
came the sound
I never heard a voice like Frankie Valli's.
that defined a generation. From director Clint Eastwood
Ladies and gentlemen,
Jersey Boys, rated R, starts June 20th.
So, needless to say, this is definitely a lot better than Clint Eastwood's last musical he did, which was Paint Your Wagon. But then again, who could deny a musical called Paint Your Wagon with Clint Eastwood and Lee Marvin with that Ponderosa Pine? Woohoo! Yeah, this is definitely not Paint Your Wagon, that's for certain. But it's an interesting choice for Clint Eastwood to go down this route here, especially with the material here. But kind of fits right in with his usual stuff. Jersey Boys, if you don't know, is the musical biography about Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, the rise, the tough times, and personal clashes and ultimate triumph of a group of friends whose music becomes symbolic for a generation. Far from a mere tribute concert, Jersey Boys gets to the heart of the relationship at the center of the group, with a special focus on frontman Frankie Valli, played by John Lloyd Young, who played the role of Frankie Valli in the original Broadway musical, which went on to become a smash hit in the early 2000s. The small kid with the big falsetto. In addition to following the quartet's coming of age as performers, the core of the show is how an allegiance to a code of honor learned in the streets of their native New Jersey got them into a multitude of challenges, gambling debts, mafia threats, and family disasters. Jersey Boys is a glimpse at the people behind the sound that has managed to endure for over 4 decades in the hearts of the public. And, yeah, this is, I mean, it's probably a good thing that he's the only director on this movie in general here. And then again, and I said that Paint Your Wagon was the last musical turn that he had. No, he sang the song for Gran Torino at the end of that movie, which, yeah, if you've heard that song, it's probably best that you never do it. But if you did, yeah, you could probably see why he never really took on another musical until this one here. But, I mean, there's been a lot of shit being tossed about this film for the fact that some people thought Clint Eastwood should have had directed this to people, saying they should have casted Hollywood actors, because I could clearly see somebody like, you know, Robert Pattinson as Tommy DeVito, because that went as well as he did the accent and Remember Me. Keep in mind, this was back before Robert Pattinson became the cool Robert Pattinson that we know him to be today, but, I mean, I actually really enjoyed this movie. I like the fact that Eastwood did a good enough job at casting the picture, invoking his unique, dark, way of shooting the film, because it has the same kind of feel as something like a Gran Torino does. You can definitely tell it's an Eastwood-directed movie, and he got a lot of good actors who do really a lot of good covers of the songs, just like in the Broadway production. I mean, John Lloyd Young does a good job of capturing that performance of Frankie Valli that he did in the original. He nails it singing-wise, acting-wise. I thought everybody else in the cast was pretty good, too. Vincent Piazza as Tommy DeVito, Eric Bergen as Bob Gordio, Michael Lamenda Nick Massey, Clint Eastwood is pretty good as Gyp DeCarlo. It's probably his best outside of walk-up performance from him from a long time, and I'm glad the film didn't play him up as the typical mob boss for the most part. Most of the cast overall was good in here. I mean, there was one guy who was playing Joe Pesci, and he acted more like Jonah Hill than Joe Pesci did. And if you've seen the movie I'm talking about here, I mean, at least he was fair compared to his performance in Jersey Shore Shark Attack. Yeah, that's literally one of the movies that he's in, and it certainly is a lot better than that. The covers are very good. The movie is smart enough not to just plaster them in there just for the hell of it like a lot of shitty musicals do. Each one kind of serves a purpose to the storyline here, right in the spot, and placed right in the spot of the story. If there is a flaw to the film, it's mostly the fact that my biggest flaw with it is that you have a typical rise and fall story that we see very often in musical biopics. We see it in Ray. We see it in Walk the Line. We see it in Coal Miner's Daughter, La Bamba. We still got a ton of these very much after this movie came out. We'll have another one in the summer with Chadwick Boseman's Get On Up with a James Brown biopic that does the exact same thing. It's about how the group rises and falls, drugs get involved family-wise, there's a death, and my favorite cliche of all, somebody has to throw something. This just doesn't happen once in the movie. 3 times it happens. 2 chairs and a glass get thrown in the film for no reason, because you can't convey anger without throwing something. It's been done before in the movies, and we'll be damned if we're not going to make it, if we're not going to keep doing it again. It's just like, there's also a subplot in the movie that felt really off in here. Like, you know, Frankie's daughter ends up with her after their divorce, and she's taking drugs, and she dies. And honestly, we could have felt more for her if we actually knew more about this girl. They really just kind of pass her over. They pass over her more times than Frankie probably did in real life. I mean, and it just felt like Eastwood wanted to build more drama by having another kid killed in one of his movies, because that's his norm in these films. But, I mean, like I said, it could have been much worse. They could have done the same thing they've done with going into a completely different format, like in Justice League Cry for Justice with Lee and Harper, where, you know, she's in the comic just to die for no reason whatsoever as a cheap emotional ploy. And I bring this up because I said originally in my review that I thought maybe the stage production would go into more detail about her character being there. Funny enough, the following year, we went to see Jersey Boys when it came to Pittsburgh, and there's a part in the, and, you know, that scene I was talking about here, where, you know, Frankie Valli's daughter ends up dying at an early age of a drug overdose in the 1980s, and when I first saw that in the movie, it was played out, and it plays it out, and, you know, one of my favorite songs, Can't Take My Eyes Off of You, was created as in that movie, according to the movie. It was a tribute to his daughter, and was the reason why he got back into the music business. Or at least that's what you think, because if you watch the stage show, the song Can't Take My Eyes Off of You actually comes early into his solo music career, and when Valli's daughter Francesca dies, the song he sings is a cover of Fallen Angel. Like, I mean, it's a good I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a good song, but you hear these two different stories from such a traumatic moment in his life, and you gotta wonder how far a biopic goes before you can start questioning what happened. I mean, like, did he create the song because... Did he create... Who Loves You... Did he create... Can't Take My Eyes Off You because of his daughter, or was it beforehand? It's just, like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, it really just feels like they try to do something different, but at the same time, it doesn't really mesh with what we're supposed to take from it. Like, what are we supposed to take from the song being made? Like, changing it around and all that. Like, it feels really, really odd overall, like, why they did that, and just, it makes no sense whatsoever to do that. But like I said, it didn't quite live up to the expectations I was hoping for it would have, but for what they gave us, I thought he did a commendable job with it, Eastwood did, giving us a different movie that we're used to seeing from him, putting in enough effort and time to make the film more consistent rewatchability, because I've watched it several times, and, you know, I love Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons music. I used to listen to it all the time. I went to concerts with my parents whenever he comes to town. I mean, he's a great musician. His music is really damn good. I'm sure that the stage version... I've seen the stage version. The stage version is definitely a much better experience overall. But as far as the movie goes, it works fine. It's a fine adaptation of it all. But like I said, it's definitely something where you really are going to be confused if you saw this and also the Broadway and also the musical and thought to yourself, wait, what makes sense here? What's supposed to be the truth here? What's in the movie or what's in the musical? Like, I don't know. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I had to burp. Sorry, but yeah, like I said, it's really hard to figure out which direction it's supposed to go. You're supposed to buy into here. You're supposed to buy this particular section, or the stage show, or the movie. Like, which one is the real version? But I mean, as long as they're both entertaining, I guess it's not a big deal. But it's definitely something that kind of gets to me even after all these years later. It's a good movie, but like I said, I think it's better to see the movie and the Broadway musical, so you can compare it each by inch. And I mean, I'm still confused nowadays on which is the better one. Do I think it's the new movie version, or the musical? I can't really say for certain what it is, but I don't know. But like I said, I like it enough. Jersey Boys, it's worth it.
Everybody stick behind me.
Oh, the king is back, baby. Or so we thought. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody, as we are nearing the halfway point of 2014, June 27, 2014. And we start off with Transformers: Age of Extinction. You know, this was the movie that comes right after Michael Bay gave us Pain and Gain, one of the year's best movies from the year before, with The Rock and Mark Wahlberg, who joins him along on this movie as well. So you figure with him, and in addition to some other notable names like Stanley Tucci and Kelsey Grammer, you know, maybe, just maybe, the Transformers franchise can get right back on track to where it was, you know, after the two sequels before this one were kind of lackluster overall. You would think that's where we'll be going, the direction with this, right? Nope. So after yet another battle between the Autobots and the Decepticons that leveled Chicago, humanity thinks that all alien robots are a threat. So Harold Attinger, a CIA agent played by Stanley Tucci, establishes a unit whose sole purpose is to hunt down all of them. But it turns out they are aided by another alien robot who is searching for Optimus Prime. Cade Yeager, played by Mark Wahlberg, a robotics expert, buys an old truck, and upon examining it, he thinks it's a Transformer. When he powers it up, he discovers it's Optimus Prime. Later, men from the unit show up looking for Optimus, once again played by Peter Cullen. He helps Yeager and his daughter Tessa, played by Nicola Peltz from The Last Airbender, escape but are pursued by the Hunter. They escape, and Yeager learns from technology he took from the men that the technology magnate and defensive contractor named Joshua Joyce is part of what's going on. So they go to find out what's going on. And again, it felt like, Michael Bay was getting back on track with Pain and Gain, but then you see this, and, Bay took the criticism that he had from the other Transformers movies and did something about it. He made the same Transformers movie we saw beforehand, but made it longer and even more boring and even more stupider. That's what Age of Extinction is. This whole movie is nothing but the last two movies, again, except with a completely new cast, wasting all this talent. Mark Wahlberg, Stanley Tucci, Kelsey Grammer, John Goodman on this movie right here. This movie is 165 minutes long. That's 2 hours and 45 minutes of your life that you're never going to get back once you watch this movie. There is no reason why this movie needed to be as long as it was, and it's just the same thing over and over again. Like, they get you with the advertising. That's how they got me at first. But then you watch the movie, and then you realize, oh, wow, the marketing is good, the movie is crap. I mean, I like the first Transformers movie. I thought it was dumb summer fun. It was impressive to look at. It was something we hadn't seen done before. Revenge of the Fallen was an obvious misfire because of the writer's strike. Dark of the Moon kind of got it back a little bit, but not enough to say it's a good movie. But, I waited a long time to finally get the nerve to watch this movie, and when I did, yeah, it's exactly what I thought it was going to be. The first movie all over again, except even longer, even stupider, even more gross by the fact that Nicola Peltz, I'm assuming that she was over the age of 21 when this came out. I was completely wrong. She was 19, but there is literally shots of this movie with the camera looking right up her you-know-what, and I'm thinking to myself, this is a barely legal girl we're looking at here. Just like, I feel incredibly awkward watching this whole thing. It's like it felt like Michael Bay was trolling his audience with a film that was this inept and this bad, because not only does Age of Extinction fail to fix the problems of the past two movies, but they create even more conflicts and even more problems that they made these movies absolutely unbearable to watch. And we haven't even gotten to the last night yet, which is even worse. Like, Age of Extinction is a gigantic clusterfuck of a movie that just makes you wonder if Transformers will ever get out of Michael Bay's shadow and actually become something again, which eventually it would, because after the next movie, the franchise would get better from there. We got with Bumblebee and Transformers Rise of the Beast, and more recently Transformers 1, which, yeah, excellent films, but we still have one more bad movie to get to. But trust me, though, it is going to get better as time goes on. But not with this movie, though. Transformers Age of Extinction. It makes sense that the biggest new release of the weekend is the biggest piece of shit, because there are two other movies that came out this weekend that were definitely a hell of a lot better, especially our first movie, a much better action movie than Transformers Age of Extinction, and that is Snowpiercer.
On this train of life, one thing holds back the frozen death. Order. Precisely 74% of you shall die.
I'm not a leader.
You're already a leader. This is going to be good.
Snowpiercer. Rated R.
Yes, it will, Tilda Swinton. Yes, it will. Snowpiercer comes to us from Bong Joon-ho, who will later go on, of course, to direct the Oscar winner Parasite. And it's a story that takes place aboard the Snowpiercer train as it travels a globe encircling track carrying the last remnants of humanity. After a failed attempt at climate engineering to stop global warming has caused a new snowball Earth, Chris Evans stars as Curtis Everett, leader of the lower-class tail section passengers, as they rebel against the elite at the front of the train. And that's pretty much of the movie in general here. It's a film that is very much it's a lot of mixing between something like District 9, mixing in with a little bit of Runaway Train, the classic Jon Voight, Eric Roberts movie from the 1980s, which was one of the few canon movies that got a lot of Oscar buzz with it. But, it's a movie where it's a very cool stylistic film in general here. It's one of the rare sci-fi movies it's based off an original concept. That's not even true, because this is based off of a graphic novel. What am I saying? But regardless, the movie is unique and original and clever in various other ways, too. Not the fact that it's based off of a graphic novel, but you get the idea here. It's pretty much in the same vein as something like Edge of Tomorrow, which we had earlier in the month. Two really solid films, two stylistic, visually cool films, and a film that features an impressive cast that includes Evan Swinton, Jamie Bell, Octavia Spencer, John Hurt, Ed Harris, Park Chan-wook as one of the producers on here. And it leads to a lot of really cool action sequences. And again, with me, it's in the snow. I mean, I love the snow so much. I'm loving what's happening right now with all the snow on the ground. Yeah, this right here, this is my shit right here. I'm like Elsa from Frozen. The cold doesn't bother me anyway, because I'm loving the snow out here. There's just something about the snow when it comes to, snow in a movie in general. I mean, we just saw it with Black Phone 2, and, other movies like Ghost Story, and, what was another one we had? The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Like, for some reason, the snow just makes a movie look even more impressive than it actually is, especially an action movie or a sci-fi film. I mean, it just works in general here, and a movie like this really does lead to a lot of really cool effects, really cool action overall, a really good story that you get invested in. It's just a fun movie overall. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. Made for a great TV series that came out not too long ago. I mean, what more can you say, man, that hasn't already been said? Snowpiercer, fantastic film. Can't recommend it enough. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out, man. It's definitely one worth watching. So yeah, with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to the last film we have here, and that is Mark Ruffalo and Keira Knightley in Begin Again, from the director of Once.
This is fantastic. Got a hit record.
Here we are. We hope you like.
We don't want anything to stand in his way.
Capisci? I don't know what to say.
This summer,
You got some talent. I want to make records with you.
I have a plane to catch.
Where are you going?
Home.
Come on, no one comes to New York and just leaves.
every breakup
Let's record an album, and the city is our studio.
is a chance to begin again. Critics agree this is the summer movie for the rest of us. Begin Again, rated R.
As I said, it's directed by the guy who gave us Once, John Carney, but it's also produced by Judd Apatow, with a film starring Keira Knightley and Mark Ruffalo. Knightley plays a singer-songwriter who is discovered by a struggling record label executive, played by Mark Ruffalo, and collaborates with him to produce an album recorded in public locations all over New York City. And kind of like with Once, I mean, this is literally just Once, except with a much bigger cast involved in it, but it doesn't take away from the overall enjoyment of the movie. Far from it. It's a really damn good movie. And the music, once again, top-notch, just like it is in Once. And the cast that also includes some notable names in here. Haley Steinfeld, Adam Levine in one of his rare acting roles. James Corden. This was actually one of the first movies where he really kind of gained a notable presence in the States. And this was back when he was very much likable and not what he's become nowadays. But, we also have Mos Def, Yassine Bey, CeeLo Green, and Catherine Keener in here, all really good. I mean, it's a really enjoyable movie. You do buy the chemistry between Knightley and Ruffalo, and you also do buy the music in general, because the music overall is really good. It's a very good comfort food movie. It's a film that is something where it's just like, you look at it, and it's just like, it's not trying to sell you on anything like self-glorifying or anything like that. It's just a slice of real life, and you can believe these characters are so invested in what they're doing in general here. And again, the music is top-notch. There's a reason why this song, The Lost Stars, got nominated for an Oscar for Best Original Song. I mean, it's a great movie. It's a really impressive film. It just works on so many levels. I can't recommend this puppy enough. Once again, Begin Again is a great movie. I love it so much I can't even remember the title of it. But yeah, definitely seek out Begin Again, because it is definitely worth it. If you loved Once, you're going to love the hell out of Begin Again. Easily.